Hey up, and welcome to the next video. And this video is quite important because it's the first shoot where I take out the Nikon D850, and it's important for me to forget all the gadgets and the bells and whistles on the camera and go out and focus on the photography. Forget the technology, focus on the photography. So that's what we do in this video. Now, most of the videos I go out and shoot, I go on my own, I do my own B-roll, I obviously take all the still shots, sometimes fly the drone. Sometimes Helen joins me, and she does on this next one. And I don't know why, but when she's standing behind that Pocket Osmo camera on the tripod, she tends to put me off. She don't pull faces, she don't wave her arms around or give hand signals, but she just puts me off.
One them. Ready?
What? So we've come here today. Now, we didn't really have a plan today of what we were going to shoot. I just simply picked this location to have a walk around and see what compositions we could find. And sometimes when you get to a location, something in the location takes over the photography, and it becomes the content of your photography. And this happens in this video. What we didn't know at the time was the water levels were quite low in the reservoir, which had exposed these nice ridges as the water level had gone down, and they kind of became the subject of the photography. So I concentrated on long exposures. It was very windy, so I wanted to smooth the water out and also bring some drama into the clouds. And we had a mixed bag of light. We had no light, we had cloud, we had rain, we had wind. So we had quite a mixed bag of weather, as well as some credible compositions that you'll hopefully see in this video. Towards the end, I'll take you through some compositions that didn't work, and I'll talk through why I didn't feel they worked. We'll have a slideshow at the end with what I hope are the more credible images that we took on this shoot. So let's join the video and see how the morning developed. Very windy today on the shoreline of the reservoir, and I think this is Derwent Reservoir. So we took some shots down on Lady Bower. I'm trying to take shots today making use of the low water levels, because now the water levels are low, they've exposed all the sort of stones and the ridges as the water levels gone down, if that makes sense. So in this particular shot here, we've got a tree on the left hand side there, sort of leaning in to the reservoir, and then we've got the curves in the shoreline there and a little fence that goes into the water. So I think that's That makes quite a nice composition. I've still got the 10 stop on though, because the water's quite choppy, so every shot I'm taking, I'm trying to smooth the water down a little. So we've come here today really with no plan, no sort of idea of what we're going to photograph. So it's always nice to come and find a surprise really, and with the reservoir levels being this low, it's unearthed a nice surprise. So this next shot, we've moved nearer now to the this fence line in the water, and there's some really nice curves here in this next shot. I'm just waiting for some people to move out of the shot because they're wearing red, and when somebody wears red it really stands out in a shot. So they've nearly gone. We've lost the light, the wind's getting up, so you might be hearing a lot of wind noise on this video. But this is another composition with the tree in the top left of the image, and then we've got the water on the right hand side, and I'm going to do a vertical shot in a minute because we've got these nice sort of leading lines of the patterns in the I'm going to call it sand. It's like being on a beach though at low tide. So you've got these patterns in the sand even. So I'll do a vertical shot next because I think that's going to look a lot better than the horizontal one. I'm having to take the 10 stop filter off as it gets darker. When the sun goes in, I'm having to take the 10 stop filter off, pre-focus, and then put it back on. Because I haven't got a magnetic filter system yet, it's quite fiddly screwing it back on. I can't mention the cost of a magnetic filter system because Helen's filming behind the camera at the minute. I best not mention the cost. Wow, this wind. Okay, I like the portrait shot more because we've got the tree in the top upper left of the image, but the light's awful. So this will probably be a black and white conversion, this one. We might wait here a while and see if we can get the sun coming out. This wind's giving a real problem with the foliage in the shot today, because where we've got trees and branches in the image, they're going to be pretty blurred. So and I don't think this wind's going to drop. If anything, it's probably going to get windier. And I think I'm just going to move to the right, so there's more water in this, and there's more of a there's some nicer leading lines down there as we get closer to the shoreline. So I'm just going to move to the right a little. Okay, moving further down, a word of warning: it's muddy the nearer you get to the water. So yes, we've both just slipped a little, but I do like the leading line in this shot. Vertical shot, then I'm going to change to horizontal before we move further forward to where that fence line is, and we're going to get close to that fence line because I think that's going to give us a really nice shot. Right, let's move forward. And we've got this sort of brown, it's not rock, it's sort of brown muddy earth, and it kind of curves round. Still got the tree in the upper left there, and we've got this fence, it looks like an old fence that goes into the water in the background. So as we got nearer this fence line, and close up the other side. The images didn't really work so well. So I've come around this side now, and we're facing the turrets of the reservoir, and I've put this little fence line in the foreground, and there's one that's taller than the rest. So I'm going to clone him down to match the others. This is quite a nice shot here, low down, long exposure, smooth the water out. With the two turrets in the background, the light's not great, it's just started to rain a little. So let's hope that don't carry on. But I quite like that. You've got the fence line, the smooth water, the turrets in the background, and you've got the landscape, and we've got the sky that's moving. I'm going to try and do a 30-second exposure now to really move that, really blur that sky. Yeah, let's just put that f16 30-second exposure, ISO 64. Here comes the rain. Okay, I'm just going to move further down nearer the water just to try and get a lower angle shot. And it's now really raining, heavier. I think we're going to put the camera away. It is weatherproofed, but I still don't want to be getting it too wet anyway. Okay, we've come round now, and in the distance you can see the turrets of Howden Dam. And at this point, because the dam's low down, it's exposed, I don't know what they are, they're kind of like foundations. So I'm going to take a shot here. I'm going to focus stack this, but I'm only going to focus on the foreground and the background, because the water's going to be blurred, because it's going to be a long exposure. So this is going to be a long exposure focus stack. I'll find out what these are, because they do look quite interesting. Okay, in this next composition, without falling over on these rocks, I'm loving these trees just up above the shoreline there. Yes, they'd look better with some light. We might get some light in a minute. Give it time. Helen says you can't see me apparently. She must have moved the camera because I'd set it. So, oh, how rude. So, good job you can't see hand signals. So, I'm liking these trees up on the shoreline there. And we've got some nice horizontal lines of where the water's gradually gone down lower. And then I'm using the 10 stop again to smooth the water out. And we've got all this very rocky foreground as well. Yes, come on, give us some light. Okay, this is probably the last composition of the day. We've not got better light. Well, we've had light, then it's gone, then it's come again and it's gone, and pretty much now it's gone against the forecast because it's clouded over, and it should have been clearing up as the day's gone on. So we've got this final composition, and it's got a good old leading line in it. So we've got the low levels of the water. I've exposed a leading line which takes us into the image, and it takes us up towards the water pipes. So we're looking at the water pipes here from the southern end of the reservoir. So you have a nice backdrop there, and if we had some light, yeah, this would make a very nice shot. But it is what it is. I hate that saying. So it's probably going to be black and white, and depending on how much colour I can inject into the image from Lightroom. So horizontal and vertical shot here. I would say the vertical shot's probably going to look better because we can zoom in, and when we can really make that leading line stand out in the bottom part of the image. Okay, let's quickly talk through the images that did not work, and this is the first one. So we've got some nice lines here on the bottom of the image leading us towards the reservoir, but after that there was not really a focal point that we're looking at. The interest was here for me, but there wasn't anything to draw your eye into the picture from what I could see. Next image. So this one, I really like the bottom. We've got some nice lines again at the bottom. We've got a really nice curve on the reservoir at the bottom. But above, again, not really much interest. We've got a big empty space really where the water is, and yeah, half an image here really. That bottom half, if there'd been something above really interesting, then that might have been a better shot. Next image, this tree really stood out on its own in previous compositions, but when we got this close, other trees started to encroach onto that tree, and that's what spoiled this shot really. Didn't really like this foreground here, but the worst part of this image was that tree was not separated. If we'd have had separation with the tree on the top left, would have gave a cleaner finish to that left hand side of the image. So on this shot I'd gone quite low down, and you can see here towards the middle of the shot we've got this particular fence post that somehow is taller than the rest, and it sticks out like a sore thumb. And in the finished slideshow that's going to follow, you'll see the difference it makes to the image when that is removed and shortened down to a similar height to the rest. When you look at this image now, that's all you're looking at is that particular piece of wood sticking out up into the landscape behind. In this shot I started off with the tripod too low, and being too low down put this post up onto the landscape behind, and also this post on the left also encroached into the bank there, I was going to say coastline of the reservoir. It encroached into the banks of the reservoir and just didn't look right. And when you see the final shot in the slideshow, you see that I've moved the tripod up and I've separated them from the landscape behind. This image, I tried to put some foreground at the bottom here with this pile of rocks, but they're kind of going into the water. Then you've got this, you've got the foundations of the railway viaduct behind, and your eyes in this one are kind of looking at the bottom and looking here, and yeah, there's some interest in the sky because it was a long exposure, but we've got quite a bit of dead space in the water, so this may have worked better if I'd have gone lower down, but it doesn't work for me. We've got these nice flowers growing on the side of the reservoir. I'm not sure what they are, but in this shot I tried to put some colour into the scene, so using the trees as a backdrop and then the flowers on the left hand side, and I couldn't use the foreground below the image because it was really untidy, so I cropped that out, but it doesn't work for me. It probably needed to be a focus stack, and I focused on the flowers. Had I focus stacked and got the background in focus, it might have been a better image. Changing lenses, I used a 200mm, or I did a kind of a 200mm pano in this next shot, again based around these coloured flowers on the right hand side. And at first, you know, I thought this was okay, but the main subject that your eyes look at is this turret here in the middle, and unfortunately the other turret is covered over by the trees, and for me it don't work because of that situation on the left here. If this left hand turret had been as exposed as this one, it would have given this side of the image much more balance. And they're the turrets of Howden Dam, which is the next dam up after Derwent. Nice flowers here, generally a nice green scene, but it fails for me because of this left hand side. Even trying to put some of the reservoir in the shot gives the image some balance, but I'm still not happy with this left hand side. In photography, I think it's really important to experiment with compositions, but it's just as important as well to recognise when a composition doesn't work, and to eventually, after you've gone through and processed the images, to actually delete those images, because they're never going to look any better. Let's look at the slideshow then, and hopefully what you're going to see now are the more credible images that we took on the day. Here we go. Okay, we'll end the video here. And I'd just like to say a quick thank you to everybody that's subscribed to the channel since it started. We're currently up to 114 subscribers, which I'm amazed and surprised and really happy with. So thank you if you have subscribed to the channel. So if you've liked this content and you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing to the channel, sharing the video, popping a comment in the bottom, and giving the video a like if you liked it. So on to a preview of the next video. Now, I've not filmed this yet because I've not really had the weather conditions I wanted. It's either been too hot or it's been raining. So I'm going to show you some example pictures of what I'm going to go out and capture in the Peak District. And it's going to be all about late evening photography when the harsh light of the day starts to fade away and we get some nice shadows and some nice light across the landscape, and maybe leading into a sunset as well. Big thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you later.